It's a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan.
If you're in the business of making money, it would behoove you to be a safe and inclusive space.
Whether you agree with what someone is saying has nothing to do with his right to say it.
I'm a bad man, giving bad men bad looks. Prince amongst thieves and crooks. War bad women, bad cars, bad hoods, bad dudes. I'm making my own rules. I'm a bad man, giving bad men bad looks. Prince amongst.
Hi folks, my name is Devontae and I sacrifice my time so you don't have to. Edge, Hangman Adam Page, Jay White, Malachi Black, Miro, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and in my opinion, considering where she should be as far as a women's champion is considered, Jade Cargill. That's just to name a few people off the top of my head who I feel for the most part they never really met the expectations of what others were expecting from them based off of the creative, right? Now you can argue to a lesser degree people like Cody Rhodes, for an example, took themselves out of that position, but it was up to you, Tony. It was up to you as a booker to talk him out of this ridiculous decision that he's now come to regret. Notice how one of the names I left off that list was Wardlow, because I want to put him in a special category. I want to put him in a category onto his own, of fuck-ups. Let's go back to 2022, when Wardlow was one of the hottest commodities in all of professional wrestling. For a split second, in April and May of 2022, there was no rising star compatible to a Wardlow. Nobody, not even close. He was getting over, Goldberg over. You had the perfect opportunity to capitalize on that talent, and you let it simmer away. Why? I have no clue. Then you get another opportunity around late 2022, early 2023, when he had a run with the TNT Championship. He traded it back and forth with Samoa Joe and others. Why? I have no clue. You put him with Arn Anderson, an opportunity to have some type of a relationship where he can break out from, and who knows? TNT Championship around the waist around that time also. Looked like he was turning heel for a minute. It fizzled out. Why? I don't know. Then your latest opportunity, around October, November-ish, you set him up with one of the worst stables in professional wrestling history, expecting him to get over. He cuts a promo, one of the best promos he's ever cut. He gets over again. He gets a resurgence because of said promo. Obviously not to the degree of where it was at previously, but he gets a resurgence. All you have to do is protect him. That's it. You can have him doing vignettes. You can have him running formats backstage. You can have him in a Batista role in late 2004, being the enforcer for Adam Cole and watching his back and doing everything in his power to remind people of who he is and what he has been doing for the better part of 2 years, dominating. And then you ruin that too. AEW, in particular, Tony Khan, he ruins talent. He has no clue what he's doing. His track record speaks for itself. Almost no one ever legitimately gets over with him booking. You don't believe me? Go look at the crowds. He takes household names and he breaks them down to their elementary, at the very beginning of their career in regards to how people look at them. Obviously, their trademarks all with WWE, their image rights all with WWE for the most part. They come to a new territory. You would think, well, at the very least, you can't hold back their faces. You know, you can't hold back the article of clothing. You can't hold back the body. You can't hold back the skin, because that's what actually got over, right? And all be all, your brain is what gets you over. That follows you to the next promotion. So why aren't they as over? Is it really the WWE propaganda machine? Because I can understand that from a metric standpoint. But what does that mean for the superstar in that position? Why are they in that current position? Why are Edge and Christian feuding over the equivalent of the Intercontinental Championship, and you're doing a blow-off feud for their match on a random episode of Dynamite right before your Dynasty pay-per-view? Why? Why would you do that? Why was Adam Page one of the worst world champions in the history of professional wrestling? Can anyone tell me that? Anybody? Raise of the hand? Anybody? I don't have to like the person, but I have to question it still, objectively. Where is Britt Baker when it seemed that she was labeled to be the star? She was supposed to be the Charlotte Flair of your women's division. Where is she? Huh? Is there like a milk carton somewhere we have to go put out in order to go find her? Where is she? Speaking to people that I don't like, Jay White. Objectively, don't care for him. One of the biggest names at the time coming out of his Japan run. Why is he feuding with MJF in one of the worst world championship feuds in your company's history? Losing so cleanly after, for the most part, being, I don't know, call me crazy, platform, display as a credible threat, to now dropping down to your secondary shows, secondary trios championship belts. Your trio championship belts on the primary brand, it's already invalid for the most part as far as being obscure, irrelevant. You take a guy who main evented a pay-per-view and you drop him down to your secondary show for your secondary version of your main card title belts, and those main card title belts are probably the lowest on the pecking order of those championship belts. I just don't understand people who say things like, he's a great booker, he's a great promoter. No, he's not. By whose metric? Are you really judging this all based off of the match credibility in itself, as far as the star power is considered? And I don't even mean star power specifically just to the superstar, but just the overall match in itself. Is that what you're judging it on? Because what I like to judge is the person's position at that moment and where he was previously. And you have someone like a Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné now, who's currently in AEW. I got a question for you guys. Quick question. How's that working out right now for someone like, say, Athena, Ember Moon, who's now pretty much running ROH as your women's champion, even though you can actually use her on the main roster and she's probably more credible than all the women on your roster combined? Not all, but the majority. No one watches ROH except for your diehard, the most diehard fans, meaning you can put anyone in that position. Yet you hold someone like an Athena back. Is that proper protocol in regards of booking? Does that make any sense to anyone? He didn't do that with Samoa Joe, who, by the way, is also booked to look like an incompetent world champion from a booking standpoint. Can I ask, from a world championship position, as far as how he's viewed, do you think it's credible for a world champion of Samoa Joe's stature and his legacy Do you believe that he's having a good run when his biggest match in regards of crowd participation, in regards of build, in regards overall to the current aesthetic promoted and surrounding a Samoa Joe and his character, do you think it's bad booking when in reality his biggest match so far since having that belt is against Hook? Think about it. Go back to all those matches. Isn't this like one of his only main event title matches that you've seen so far since becoming a world champion? I don't think he main evented any other show afterwards. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. The crowd participation, the comparison, were they as strong as the Hook matches? Huh? The placement on the card outside of just main eventing. Second from last night, second after Mercedes Moné's promo, as if you're using the World Heavyweight Championship as a let me up match. You're using it as a let me up from Mercedes Moné's debut. That's what you call promoting talent. That's what you call caring for talent. That makes sense to you guys out there? Now, obviously, there are some superstars where you can have an excuse for them. People like Jeff Hardy. Dude has problems. I get as to why you wouldn't promote him. Your women's division, they're always riddled with some type of injury. I personally think Serena Deeb is a credible heel. She doesn't have to be in a position where she has to be all powerful and everything, even though I think she makes one hell of a TBS champion. But my point being is, I get it. I get her. I get someone like a Thunder Rosa. I understand. Injuries happen. But when they come back from those injuries, aren't they immediately positioned into something of prioritization, if you will? Right? Like, question. I don't like her, but I'm being objective here. What's going to happen with Deonna Purrazzo after this feud with Toni Storm? What's going to happen? What's going to happen after Toni Storm drops this gimmick? Because you know inevitably she's going to go back to her original character. What's going to happen when she drops this gimmick? More importantly, what's going to happen with someone like a Mercedes Moné when you get bored with her? Because you know it's inevitable. He will get bored with her. You say to yourself, oh, Devontae, she's a big name. She came from WWE. He's paying her all this money. I'm not sure how much Soraya's being paid right now. But how about her? You say neck injury. I say she still wrestles once in a while. Not to mention, it's not all about the wrestling. It's about how the character is presented. I never see Paige on television. I don't have to like her to at least acknowledge the name of the superstar that came to your company that people really, really wanted to see. And this happens all the time in AEW. Going all the way back, I noticed it for the first time when I seen someone like a CM Punk. You immediately took CM Punk and you wanted to put him in a match against Darby Allin, which is fine. I get it. It's not so much trying to get someone over on your roster, because first off, everyone knows who CM Punk is in your audience, right? But I get it. It's somebody of similar character in regards to their upbringing, right? The whole punk rock aesthetic, if you will. Someone who's going to bump for you because maybe you still have a bunch of ring rust. And someone who can make you look competent in the ring. But what's the excuse later on when you put him in the ring with the likes of a Will Hobbs? What's the excuse later on when you put him in the ring with the likes of an FTR? What's the excuse when he's CM Punk feuding with someone like a Hangman Adam Page and you show them one time 4 weeks in a row? Sometimes you don't even have them presented on the show. You just plug in vignettes. And that's your entire build for your main event at Double or Nothing. Is that what you do when you're a booker? Does that seem right to you guys? Am I the one that's tripping right now? Are we not going to talk about the fact that Christian Cage, as the TNT champion, he matters more? His belt has more credibility than Samoa Joe's World Championship belt. While once again reminding you guys that Christian and Edge, two of the biggest stars in your entire company, are feuding over the mid-card championship, which has more prestige than the World Heavyweight Championship, with their blow-off match happening not on a pay-per-view, but on a regular episode of Dynamite. And if by some miracle they were to go forward, how insanely stupid that would be, because they're having an I Quit match, meaning definitively one person is going to say I quit, and to come back from that at a Dynasty or a Double or Nothing. And what type of match? A Texas Death Match that you just completely told me is meaningless because you threw it out there randomly, and a match with Orange Cassidy and one of the dweebs from the United Kingdom. There's nowhere to go up from here. Maybe a steel cage match? A steel cage match after an I Quit match? Does that make sense to you guys? Does it really? Does it really? I thought it was stupid when they did it with Edge and Finn Balor. And I Quit right into the Hell in a Cell? Really? That's the path? You made a guy say but at least it was logical with WWE. One can say it's going to be logical with Edge and Christian. I don't know. I'm not even sure about how it's going to play out. But it's just the fact that it's happening on regular TV when Dynasty is right around the corner. And your excuse is, well, we're in Toronto. And you couldn't plausibly think of anything else to substitute it with something that is just as meaningful without having to ruin the match, without having to put your superstars into a position where they could be injured before the pay-per-view. Dynasty, if they're even going to be used on that show, which is a part of the problem. Why am I having to question whether or not Edge and Christian should be used at Dynasty? They're Edge and Christian. But this is the problem. This is the problem that we bump into when we talk about people like Tony Khan. This is the problem. This specific problem right here is why I look at all his fanboys and I say that you're enabling this guy. It's to the point, now notice how I'm not yelling. Usually in a video like this, I'd be yelling. I'd be screaming. Very autistically. But it gets to a point where you just have accepted it. You've accepted defeat. There are too many things happening all at once, and too little people, or little of people, to care about the situation, where it's just pointless. It's really, really pointless. I want AEW to triumph. I want them to get better. I want them to give WWE a run for its money. But when you have superstars leaving your company to go to WWE because they feel they'll have a better opportunity over there, it's not even talking. Notice with Okada, with Will Ospreay, with Mercedes, who says she wants to go back to WWE. What's the contributing factor to them coming to AEW? Is it the exposure? Is it the creativity? Is it any of that? Almost everything you hear surrounding around these guys and as to why they came to AEW reflects off of money, which is their prerogative, obviously. I don't blame them. But that's the crux as to why they're going to AEW. Not because they have any faith in Tony Khan. Why would you have faith in a guy like this? I know if I, as a fan, am seeing this, that the guys and the girls who are in the business, who have to be surrounded by this lunacy, I know they see it just as much as I see it. I know people backstage had to question the logistics of having someone, even if you're friends with them. I'm pretty sure even someone like a Willow Nightingale probably sat down and said to herself, really? Really, we have to have a main event with me and Riho just to put out Sasha Banks, who didn't even do anything? Because I was thinking to myself, it would have been stupid nonetheless. But at the very least, I can see you're trying to have a face-off with Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné and all this. No. You did it to have the match. They left the ring after Julia Hart got involved, which looks like, and I hope I'm wrong, but you know what? At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if you're pushing towards Julia Hart and Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship. At this point, I wouldn't even be shocked. It's just another LOL Tony Khan moment. It just boggles my mind to have so much talent. So much talent. Too many, to be quite honest with you, too many on your roster for you to even competently book a decent show and use everybody to the best of their abilities without burying them on Rampage or Collision. You have too many good talents to let waste away like this because of how you book. You're ruining talent. They're ruining talent. Whether you're talking about from a training perspective like Jay Cargill, whether you're talking about the veterans who their name doesn't even feel that much. Like Edge doesn't even feel like a legend. He is a Hall of Famer in WWE for nearly 15 years. You guys recognize that, right? And he doesn't even feel like a somebody anymore in AEW. Do you know how insane that is? I get that his actions screwed him over, but Jeff Hardy, he's and I thought the 24/7 stuff in WWE was horrible, but he right now is at the lowest point of his entire career. And again, I get it, the injuries and all that stuff builds up, and it's like, do you really want him in that position with that, and then plus the drinking and all that stuff? I get that, but you can find him a prominent position because he is Jeff Hardy in the end of the day. Otherwise, why did you bring him into your company? I just want something to be competent. That's all I want. I want competent. I want people in the position of Tony Khan to know what they're doing. And it doesn't seem like we're getting that at the moment. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. It really just bugged me. It bothered me greatly to see how Wardlow was being used last night, and seeing the path potentially of where Sasha Banks is going to go, and how she was presented last night also with that terrible promo, and then leading off the night with that horrible Willow Nightingale and Riho, and it just flooded my mind. I just wanted to go back in the archives and see how many people he's actually ruined from an actual credibility standpoint, and my God, it's dozens. Hell, don't even forget about MJF. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, my name is Devontae, and I'll be catching you guys later. Food for thought. Deuces, P. Ice.